first impression of La Cantera?
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Perfect blend of like the Southwest architecture and motif, but all of the amenities of a luxury resort.
So we've got golf. Mm-hmm. We're contemplating having
an event
some type of pool event / party.
So that's going to be a great opportunity for sponsor partners and dealer members to get together and talk business.
Yep.
What better setting than right here? All right, guys. Welcome to the preview show. It is live with my man SJ 24/7, and he earns that nickname. I can tell you that he is, according to Trish's account, he is on the couch 24/7, 365. So he has duly earned the nickname. What's up, my man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited. Like we got big week this week. We got NADA. But I'm more excited about business bourbon and cigars. I got to be honest with you. And everybody I'm talking to is saying the same thing. With all due respect to the crew over in Dallas, San Antonio looks like the place to be. Q1 of 2023. What do you think?
Well, this will be one of the first NAD. Maybe I've probably in the last 30 years have only missed maybe 2 or 3 NADAs. I'm missing this year. I don't like missing it.
Yeah, but you've got a good reason. Let's be clear. You've got a good reason.
I'm taking my daughter. She's she's got her own YouTube channel and things like that. And of course with the podcast. So we're going out to Podfest in Orlando. So I'll be doing a different conference this time around. So she enjoys it quite a bit and she learns a lot.
Yeah, the daddy-daughter opportunity is always great. And I am captain of the Sophia fan club to start with. But she also has more YouTube subscribers than you and I combined. So
she does.
She's doing something
it's
right.
Embarrassing. And she's only been doing it for 6 months.
Don't be embarrassed. She's got way more talent than you and I combined as well. So she's earned it, But I'm excited, buddy. I mean, we got a lot to talk about here today, just in terms of what we've got planned. I think the most exciting thing that I want to have the opportunity to announce is one of our new sponsor partners. We've got a new sponsor partner, Old Grandpappy Bourbon, and it's in honor of Scott, who is about to become a grandfather for how many times is it now?
This will be the first.
This will be the first. So we now have Old Grandpappy Bourbon sponsoring the event. They're going to provide the bourbon for a portion of the event, just to acknowledge Scott joining the American Association of Grandparents. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you very much. When my son told me that they were expecting, besides my first thought being very happy for them and excited for them, my second immediate thought was you and the shit I was going to catch.
Listen,
kind of being the first in our group to be the grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah. No question. And listen,
a lot of people don't know I had Zach when I was 9. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh my God. Well, listen, Kentucky, all I can say with all due. But I say this because Trish and I and Mary have your best interest at heart. We've already arranged for wheelchair access for you at the airport coming and going. And they have a wheelchair and a walker, so that you can get around La Cantera's expansive grounds effectively. And I actually went one step further. I rented you one of the scooters. So you'll actually have a motorized scooter that you're going to be able to go from event to event during Business Bourbon and Cigars 5 without any issues whatsoever. So don't worry.
Well, from this point forward, when we do site visits, I will only, we can only choose locations that offer a complimentary, cane walker or rascal. So,
the rascal. Exactly. The rascal. I actually, that the stocking stuffer for you this year was the can of tennis balls. So you could put them on the 2 front legs of your walker, right? So it's easier. It gives you a chance to stop. When you pick up too much momentum, as you tend to do, this makes it a lot easier for you to stop ultimately. So anyhow, we got our first comment coming in is Steven Apicella. Steve, we got to connect in Dallas, buddy. Hope is not a strategy. So I will text you and we will figure out how to get in touch and connect over in Dallas at NADA. But Steve, one of the brightest guys I've met in this business are out of it, to be honest with you. So looking forward to connecting with you as well, Steve. Um, Listen, let's talk about business bourbon and cigars here, buddy. We got David Spiesbach is going to join us again. I'm, peeing in my pants excited that he's back because he brings such an incredible element of experience, but also intellect. He makes the two of us look smarter just by hanging around with him.
He does. That's the only reason that I have him there, is because it elevates my status in the
Right, exactly. No, he brings such an incredible perspective. His record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
His ability to cut through the clutter and really give you a completely different perspective than you may be looking at. When we go through these mastermind sessions, he always comes in to close out these mastermind sessions and puts a perfect fine point on each one of them. As a matter of fact, I put one of his quotes up there because I think it's brilliant. One of the chief roles of any business is to render your competition irrelevant. And he lives and breathes that every day.
Does.
So we're excited to have him. What are you looking forward to most? I'm curious as we look forward.
Well, I think a lot has changed since, we do this every 6 months. And the last time we were in here, I think one of our first mastermind topics it was a lot about inventory, and it was a lot about, acquiring best practices, not just best practices, but breakthrough solutions when it comes to acquiring more used vehicles. And while that's still very important, you're swimming in the rapids today, right? And I
Last
think
5, buddy. Last 5 rapids.
Before you could acquire and not get hurt. Now you can acquire, and if you're not intelligent about how you do it, you can get hurt bad. So I think optimizing our used car sales and profit, that's going to be an interesting discussion. I'm excited about talking and coming up with some solutions from creating a industry leading client experience when it comes to virtual F&I. I think that's going to be an interesting topic. I love the digital marketing side as well, but how do we grow our business? How do we grow our business or our dealership through fixed ops? And what I mean by that, it's kind of a misleading, title for the mastermind topic, because it's not necessarily about growing our fixed ops department, right? It's going to be about how do we use fixed ops to grow every element of our store and to mastermind some of those things. But your initial question, what am I excited about most? Probably the people. I can honestly say that, over these last 3 years, the group, these are some of my closest friends, and a lot of these people I did not know prior to this. And so I really enjoy getting together with them every 6 months.
There's no question about it. The relationship piece, I think, is the tie that binds across the community. And that goes for, sponsor partners as well as the dealer members in the community. It's amazing. You and I talk about this all the time. It's the kind of the business that gets done within the event. There are no pitches. There are no presentations. There's nobody pontificating from the front of the room. Nobody out there beating their chest or telling you how great their product or their service is. It's really the business is done as a result of the relationships that are built. And we've seen, and you
I'm
and
looking
I
up
marvel at this every
pontificating.
time.
Hold on. I'm looking up pontificating, Sandy. Hold on. Yeah.
I got to keep the words within 6 to 7 letters. Otherwise I throw you off. I know, I apologize. But, we see, sponsor partners getting together offline and after the events and putting together partnerships, like literally equity-based partnerships in business, strategic partnerships, collaborations. We see dealers getting together, dealer members that are on the phone with each other on a regular basis. And then across the board, there's this, I think, bidirectional flow of opportunity between your sponsor partners and the dealer members that is really unique to our event. And it was really not done by accident. It was done by design when we really started to take the time to put this event together structurally. And so that I think is what I'm looking forward to most as well, the people, and to see what happens as a result of a couple of new people that are now joining the community and becoming part of Business Bourbon and Cigars, and the relationships that they'll make and what happens as a result.
Well, the auto industry is a very large small community.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it's a huge industry, but man, it's just like there's the connections are so tight, and people know each other, and if you're usually one person away from knowing someone else, right? It all
Mhm.
flows through fixed ops. I see David there.
My man,
Um,
CEO Attraction. Go see him in Dallas. Hang with his
absolutely.
crew.
But just think about this. So, you know, my dad was in a 20 group once. Troy Duhan shows up at our last event, now a dealer member. And I mean, Troy does a phenomenal job. He's got a lot of stores,
Oh
well
yeah,
respected. But what he does with his nonprofit, Giving Hope. And so, you know, I guess a
absolutely.
better answer, what am I most excited about? You know, as this leadership retreat evolves, and now we're bringing in the Giving Hope partnership, something we're going to do every spring. The opportunity to build an orphanage in uh, Manila, Philippines. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, is that
Right.
something? Yeah, it would have been something I would have liked to have done. It would have been something that um, you know, I'd hope I'd be that type of person that could get something like that done. But without Troy and in his foundation and in his nonprofit there, that probably would not have happened, right?
Well,
And so,
agreed. Agreed.
and here we are. He showed up. My dad was in the 20 group with Troy, so I've actually met him a long time ago, but haven't been in touch for several years, probably 15 years.
Yep.
He shows up, you know, and he talked briefly and said some nice things about my dad at the last show. And quite honestly, he said some things that my dad said about me that I did not know. And, kind of hit me here.
Yeah.
And, but it's that type of relationship and that type of opportunity to meet these very unique people, where Troy and Arnold Gasita, another member, sponsor partner of our event, they do business together, and they invited me down to his gala in New Orleans. I think that was early November, I believe,
Yep.
early November, and I was blown away by it. But to see all the people in the room, and then there was this collection of people, all from Business Bourbon and Cigars that I knew. And just the way this connects people far past, you know, what you and I are doing.
Correct.
So what's happening is all these people are working together and have relationships formed, whether it's sponsors and vendors in non-traditional ways. And I think the charity with Giving Hope is a perfect example. And so literally we had, I'm not going to call it a mastermind, but a little powwow and a get together after the gala. And we came up with this and to do this. And when you put like-minded people that want to do good, want to grow, want to continuously learn together, great ideas and new things come from it. And so I think it's a perfect example of, you know, Business Bourbon and Cigars will help dealers grow their business in a big way, but there are benefits that go far beyond that.
Well,
And
yeah, you know, you touched upon a great point. It's not just growing your business; it's growing
No.
yourself. It's
Yeah.
growing your ability to impact and influence the world in a positive way. And you and I talked about, you know, putting some type of a charitable event or focus together for Business Bourbon and Cigars. You and I were thinking so much smaller. You bring somebody in like Troy Duhan, who is a gigantic thinker. Okay,
Yeah.
Troy Duhan doesn't do
Correct.
anything halfway. Troy Duhan does everything with passion and enthusiasm like very few people I've ever met in my life. I'm inspired by him. Just hearing him talk during our Friday afternoon meetings.
People were crying. I mean,
Yeah.
if you looked, I mean, people were crying. I mean, it was
Well, because he backs it up with action, Scott. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I think partnering with Troy and the Giving Hope charity really inspired us to think about this in a much bigger way. And
Correct.
so when, you know, if you and I had said we're gonna be partnering with Troy and his charity to build an orphanage, as you said, in the Philippines 3 years ago, we would have said you're nuts. Like we have 23 people in the room, for God's sakes. How are we going to make
Right.
that happen? And it's not just one person. It takes leadership, what Troy has in spades, but it takes a community of people that are like-minded, as you said, to actually put that plan into action, because it takes a lot of folks. Troy's team internally that is helping us for sure. And then everybody on the business, bourbon, and cigars side of things. It's incredible. Arnold Gasita, by the way, who deserves a nod, because he's the one that really encouraged Troy to come to the event and has been a linchpin for business, bourbon, and cigars as one of our premier sponsors
from the beginning.
From the very, very beginning. And so, we have this opportunity because of the community, not because of anything that you and I did. I mean, all we did was say, "Oh, hey, we're having something where you might be interested in attending," and then everybody that showed up has had a hand in helping us craft and shape this thing. That's the thing I love about it the most. It's really shaped by the people that are part of the community, not just you and I.
So, you said earlier that a lot of what we created was by design, and I say the opposite. So you and I, the way I look at
Let me
back, right?
clarify something. Now I got to stop you. What I said was that we were purposeful in terms of how we wanted the event to feel. We wanted it to
Correct.
be intimate, right? Not that
Yeah.
typical, a few
Well,
hundred of your closest friends.
and that's
So
where
that
I
was
was going to
purposeful.
go. I think our design happened more like what we didn't want it to be,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, we don't want a bunch of people up there just speaking to speak, and we don't want that pay to speak model.
Right.
And so what we lucked into was, all right, here's this format that we follow, and it produces really good results in terms of what dealers can take back. But what's exciting about it is you and I had no idea it would create the
No.
camaraderie and the way the relationships form so fast. You and I had no idea that was possible. We lucked into that.
We did, but I think, you always need a little bit of luck. Every single person that's achieved success or experienced success has had some good fortune along the way, however serendipitous that is, it may be. But we were the beneficiaries of good timing as well, because when we started this thing, people were itching to figure out how can we get back to life, as normal as we could get it. And so I think the evolution of business, bourbon, and cigars has really followed the arc of people coming out of the craziness of COVID and into the reality of hey, life has to go on. The planet's been around for billions of years. We're going to keep going, and so I think that piece of it, we use this as that springboard to move the industry and our community forward as a result of it. Let's talk a little bit, just in terms of a deep dive. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into optimizing used car sales and profits. You said before, we don't want simply best practices. We'll certainly discuss them, but what we're looking for are breakthrough ideas, breakthrough concepts that we can go back and employ practically in the dealerships. And that's what we've been able to deliver with, the previous 4 business, bourbon, and cigar mastermind events. What are your thoughts in terms of optimizing used car sales and profitability? It's not just about inventory. It's going to be more holistic, I think, than that.
Well, I mean, obviously you're going to have to buy these vehicles right, but it goes all the way through from the moment you purchase. And quite honestly, it even goes from how you're finding and sourcing these used vehicles, right? What type of assets are you going to deploy in your store to find the right inventory, get it there, turn it quickly, get it marketed, merchandised, and on your website, on your lot quickly, right? Turning the vehicles as fast when you're in to me, in a market that is not as, I would say it's fair to say our market is, well, forgiving might have been 6 to 12 months ago. I think now it's more of it's not even stable. It's not consistent, right? It's not like this plateau consistent thing right now. It's all over the board, and it's kind of trending in a certain direction. So to me, the turn, I know everybody preaches turn, but to me, it's even more important now.
Well, I agree. I think it's acquisition, sourcing, turn, marketing, using digital and social. I think there's so many different things that we're going to touch upon. I'm excited to have Jason Rice with us this year well. He and John Anderson are going to be there from Lot Pop. It's going to be awesome. There are a number of high performing dealer members that we have on the used car side. Rob Ruth going to be with us. Show me a better operator on the used car side than that.
So Sandy, so think about how we do this mastermind. And so I'm actually going to do I'm going to do a cheap plug here for Move Crush Count. I'm going to do a Move Crush Count with Jason here soon, here within the next couple of weeks. But we're going to take this topic, and before the show, we're actually going to show people, go walk people. I'm going to walk Jason through this and pretend we're in a 2-man mastermind, or really a 1-man mastermind. But we're going to follow a very similar process on the show.
Jason will handle the mastermind end of it for you.
Yes. I'm going to handle the group part. I'll make it a group. So, I'm going to ask him and very similar questions to what we would do in this thing. Right. And that is, all right, what is our top 2 or 3 obstacles, barriers, challenges that are keeping us from optimizing our used car sales and profit.
Right.
Right. And then once we identify those things as our group, if we could choose one, which one of those 2 or 3 would have the biggest, and we could improve it today, we could fix it today, would have the biggest impact on improving our used car sales and profit.
Yep.
Right. And so what I always find, and of course, then they spend most of their time coming up with breakthrough solutions and ideas, the process, how we measure success, things such as that. But when we bring up all these mastermind group table leaders up on the panel to go through the solutions, what always amazes me is that I initially, when you and I thought maybe we should do it this way, and we came up with this format, I always thought, wow, we're going to have a lot of similar answers, but we might have 8 to 10 people up there from the different tables. And it's amazing to me how each table came up with a different number 1 barrier, obstacle, challenge they had to work on. And so all of a sudden you hear all these different ideas, all these different processes, all these different solutions, and how they would handle them. And to me, it just exposes everybody in the room to so much content, and it's strong. And more importantly, because everyone's in there, there's no table that doesn't have at least half of them being dealers.
Correct.
It's real world it's stuff that everyone agrees can actually happen and can be integrated immediately. So
no question. No, I totally agree. I mean, it truly is the essence of the mastermind process, that Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich. I mean, we apply a lot of that to what we do. We provide a copy of the book in PDF format for anybody that's attending, which I love, because it just speaks volumes to what our focus is. As you said before, we're not looking for just simply best practices. We're looking to sometimes break completely what's broken so that we can move on and try something different that's going to create that breakthrough opportunity, for our dealer members. Let's talk about digital marketing.
I like what Ed Roberts says.
What's that?
We don't always want to copy best practices. Sometimes the best practices suck. So,
Yes. Yeah. Get right to the point. Right to the point, my man. Ed Roberts.
Want to be industry leading.
Well, that's it. I mean, if everybody's doing it, then how is there somebody that's exhibiting leadership? And so
the industry does a good job of copying best practices.
Sure.
So if everyone's copying what everybody else, that's right. So if everyone's copying that, then you're common. You're not differentiating yourself. So the idea of business, bourbon, and cigars is to come up with breakthrough solutions. Breakthroughs are what make people wealthy.
Correct. Correct. And provides advantage, that first mover's advantage, right? That person that's willing to be creative. And I think, the business world specifically rewards creative thinkers that can execute. That's an important part of it. Creative thinkers that can actually execute. And those are 2 elements of the mastermind experience that we drive home every single event, which is they've got to be breakthrough ideas, but you've got to make certain that you can execute on them. Okay. And that doesn't mean perfection. That just means execution. There's a difference. Yep. Talk a little bit about mastermind number 2, because I know it's something that you've got a little bit of experience in over at J&L, digital marketing domination. Talk a little bit about, what your thoughts are in terms of mastermind number 2.
Well, it'll be interesting. This is a great example. I brought up on this last one, all the different, how the tables came up with different obstacles or challenges barriers, and then isolated down to different ones. This is going to be, because digital marketing is such a broad thing. And what I like the way we're going to be drilling this down, it'll be interesting because you might have some tables talking about social media. Some tables might be talking about SEO. Some tables might be talking about paid media, paid social, whatever it might be, display advertising, video. It'll be interesting to see how this breaks down. And to me, that's what I'm excited about on this topic. So, so let me tell you, I've been hesitant. This is the first time we've got this topic in here, and this is our fifth event.
Correct.
And I've been hesitant to do it because what I didn't want, J&L is a sponsor of this event, just like any other sponsor, and is treated the same. And what I didn't want is I didn't want people thinking we were disguising it.
I completely, I think,
and
Scott,
but our members, our dealer members, when they're polled, they were demanding this,
asking for it. I was just about to say.
Correct.
This wasn't driven by what Scott or Sandy wanted. It was driven by what does the community demand, and that's why it's every topic that we build a mastermind around has been driven by community feedback. Period.
Correct. That's 100% correct. And after every event, what do we want to talk about in 6 months? What's our topics? And by the way, sometimes we come up with these agendas, right? These mastermind topics, and 3 months in, 3 months out, they're changing. We're changing. Yep. We're probably going to be changing our final panel discussion that's on there now. Is David Boyle still watching? I wonder if he is. We should text him.
First of all, he wants to know if you're going to eat cereal for dinner again tonight. He obviously watched the video with Sophia.
I can't believe she called me out like that. So perfect. Michael Poro.
I love him. He says best practices equal average. There's nobody at B, B, and C that's average. Amen, Michael.
One thing I'd like to do on this, because there's a chance Automotive News comes to this one and can help us moderate one of our panel discussions. And if that happens, I'd like to see if David, who's well connected, obviously in the independent repair shop world, I'd love to get one of those big national chain independent repair shops up on a panel. And I'd love to have some dealers up there as well. And I'd love to see that back and forth. I'd love to hear what their strategies are to steal business from us and how they do it. And we assume it, and we know that customers assume or perceive that prices are less expensive or it's more convenient. But I'd like to see how they play on that. And I'd love to see that dialogue. So we might change that final panel discussion if we can get that person there last minute.
Yep. So. No doubt. We'll work on that. And that's the thing I love about it. It's fluid. We can make, quick adjustments when we need to. The thing I'm looking forward to watching happen in the room during the second mastermind session with respect to digital media, to be honest with you, is I want to hear how many different approaches there are.
Correct.
And different ways that they're executing right now, and what success they're experiencing, and also areas where they feel they need to improve, because I think that's where you're going to start to see people really elevate that digital game, because as you said, it's manifold. It's not just social media, it's SEO, it's paid media, it's video, it's YouTube.
It's all over.
How many different resources and platforms are you leveraging in order to get the best result for your store?
Well,
and I think it's going to tie right into mastermind number 1 too, by the way.
But think about this, Sandy. It will. They all kind of connect a little bit there. But think about this. When we pose the question, what is your biggest, if our goal is to improve, all right, to get more from our current digital spend without, to basically outsmart, not outspend, right? I'll steal a little line there. But if that's the goal, what are the barriers? What are the obstacles? What are the challenges in today's digital marketing world that are stopping you from doing that?
Right.
right? And so when you just said what you just talked about, what successes are you having in social or this or that and this and that, we might find that, wow, I've got too many vendors that hit me with all these different stuff and they all overlap. I mean, who knows what these dealers are going to come up with in terms of what they identify are the biggest challenges and the problems as an industry. And so I can't wait to hear the solutions that come from it. I'm listen, we will learn. There's a side benefit on J&L side in the sense that we'll probably learn a ton from this in terms of opportunity. That, let's face it, disruptors come not because they go in with a disruptive idea. It's usually a competitor that just opens a door for you, and the marketplace is gonna and those will be revealed in this.
Well, I'm going to take a page out of your book, something you taught me early on in our friendship, and I've never forgotten it. And I'm good. I know I break your chops a lot, but I'm so thankful that we got together. It's one of the great gifts of my life, our friendship. It has afforded me a second lease on my professional life. I got to be honest with you. You came along at the right time, buddy, and thank you. One of the things you said to me is that a lot of the lessons you've learned at J&L and in your career, you took from businesses outside of your own business or outside of your own vertical. And I had kind of done that intuitively, but when you identified that as a real smart way to look at your own business is to look outside of it. It's one of the things that we kind of mixed into the formula here at Business Bourbon and Cigars, because what I tend to see is not just dealers looking at what other dealers are doing, but I'm looking at sponsor partners looking at what other sponsor partners are doing, what they're bringing in from other industries or verticals that they serve outside of automotive. I'm looking at sponsor partners looking at what dealers are doing. It's incredible that multi-directional flow of ideas and strategies and tactics that end up really germinating as a result of the people getting together in these mastermind sessions. It's really an incredible benefit, and the impact can be felt throughout, both sides of the equation with dealer members and sponsor partners. It's wild to watch, and that comes from you.
That comes from you as well. And in fairness, I mean, it really comes from everybody in that room. I think when you get,
when I say that, I mean our intent to mix that into the formula really was something that you had us focused on early on. It's like, let's look outside and bring it in,
Thank you. I don't take compliments well, Sandy.
Well, I don't hand them out that often, so don't get used to
it. So, I think that when you get the type of people together in the room and there's just such a lot of ambition, there's such drive to improve, to learn. Michael Porro likes to say continuous learning, right? He has the learning gene, I think is what he says. There's an energy that just kind of happens.
Yep.
There's an energy that comes from it, and it just starts to build.
Well, it's contagious.
I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, you just get together with this group of people, and it's like one idea comes here, and then this one comes, and then everyone just starts. The passion that comes out of this stuff is just, and the innovation that comes from it is like nothing I've ever experienced. It really has.
I think because, Scott, what tends to happen, and you know this from our own anecdotal experience, is that the conversation doesn't end with the end of the event, right? No. It's you bridge between events with tons of communication and collaboration in between events, which is something that it really makes my heart full, because what it does is it really elevates everybody in the community. And what it does is now you're coming back at the next event and people are asking, hey, bring me up to speed. Give me the update. What happened? Did it work? What worked? What didn't work? And that level of exchange to me is as bountiful as it gets. Michael Porro just commented here, it's about time that I complimented SJ 24/7. I said, I just have to respond to him. Michael, it's almost impossible to compliment Scott and get a word in edgewise when he's talking about himself all the time, for God's sakes. Hey, let's shift over to mastermind number 3, because this, I'm going to tie mastermind to the comment that we just made about going outside the industry or developing, products, services, or concepts for our own businesses as a result of that. But speeding up growth with fixed operations. I just want to share with you one of the things that you encouraged Ron and I to do. My right-hand guy, Mr. Ron Marvo, shout out to him. NJZ, my man, Jamil Zabaneh, who really was there at the very, very beginning with you and I, with Business Bourbon and Cigars. But one of the things that we pulled out of Florida last year was that there was this real need to help dealers identify top talent in the marketplace. And we took that concept and built a platform within our business to serve dealers effectively in terms of helping them find and ultimately hire and acquire top talent in the marketplace. And that speaks right to the point that you were making before, that we use the experiences that we have as part of the Business Bourbon and Cigars community to generate ideas, that ultimately end up helping serve our marketplace.
Correct.
Yeah,
you can sit there and listen, and let's face it, some of our sponsor partners or some of the people in this room, they're not all in the dealer world or the sponsor world.
Right.
All right.
Right.
But think of the input they give from a client experience type stuff. And this is where the comment that I'm building on from what you just said is this. The doors are open. We just have to be able to recognize them. And sometimes we need the help of someone pointing it out. Like, here's an opportunity. Here's something that the marketplace doesn't have and needs.
Correct.
All right. So I love what you're doing. I can't understand why any dealer, why every dealer wouldn't be on that program.
Well, listen, we've got plenty on right now. Michael Poro, a client and a colleague as well, a partner, if you will. And
I'm reading this comment.
He just said he loves you almost as much as you do. I miss him. I wish to God that he lived in New Jersey or I lived in Kentucky, because I get to hang out with him more often. And we say that all the time, when we go back
talk.
And forth.
Well, me and Michael just had a cigar a few days ago. And we talked. We are very thankful that you don't live in Kentucky.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to have to actually apply for a visa just to get into the state. Yeah. It'll be on a very limited basis. Anyhow, so let's go to mastermind number 3, because the point I'm making is that, one of the quickest ways that you can speed up growth in your fixed operations is to be able to effectively handle the traffic in your service drive, right? And so, being properly staffed with service advisors and specifically technicians, I can't wait for that conversation, because I know we've got a lot of data that we've been able to accumulate and compile, Ron and I, over the last almost year in working with dealers, that I think is really going to blow people's hair back in terms of what they can do on the fixed operations side. But
you just brought up something very specific, right?
Yeah.
Here we have a topic that is very broad. The goal isn't to come up with broad general ideas and solutions, right? It's to come up with very specific stuff. And so what's interesting about the way we do this, Sandy, this is another example of a topic that the solutions are going to come from a variety of different stuff. I might be at a table where we're all sitting there saying, you know what? You just came up with something very specific. Our solution, our idea might sit there and say, all right, we're going to use fixed ops, and this is how we're going to either acquire more used cars. That's an easy one. But maybe this is how we're going to grow our sales. This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to other areas that have nothing to do with fixed ops, but I'm going to use fixed ops to do it. This is how I'm going to grow my conquest business. This is how I'm going to, get more new clients into our active customer database. So it's going to get, it always drills down to a very specific solution, addressing a very specific challenge or barrier. But what I love about it is it starts here, and then it allows for the tables to come up with their different things. So
very finely tuned solutions, very specific, finely tuned solutions. That makes sense.
A lot of times we think of fixed ops as something that supports the store. Right. And, or we want to grow it. We want to get more customer pay. We want to get some conquest business as it grows fixed ops. We don't always think of fixed ops as a tool to grow the rest of it, to fuel other areas of the store.
Absolutely. Listen, you talk about where the conquest opportunity exists. And it's like, if you can get the throughput maximize and optimize the throughput in your service department, you're going to actually be able to steal clients from your competition. Okay. And once you get your hands on them, it's really hard for your competition to get them back. The market share opportunity in 2023, and I've already deemed it the year of fixed operations. The market share opportunity in 2023 is going to be unlike any that we've seen in the past, to be completely honest with you. Dealers that are paying attention, that are going to aggressively go after market share by expanding operations and really driving it through the center of their operation, meaning fixed operations, are going to reap benefits for literally a decade or more to come, just by virtue of gaining additional market share. I think that's a no-brainer.
I think this, and one of the things that the dealers, the attendees are going to notice, we don't shy from the word recession. It's going to be in that workbook no less than 50 times. We are not people that sit there and believe if we don't say the word, it won't happen and bad things won't happen to us.
We just don't focus on it from a negative. We focus on it from an opportunistic perspective. Is the difference.
100%. Exactly. Yeah. Listen, you can have a recession, and some of the best growth comes in recessions, or best opportunities, new businesses, new ideas, new processes all come from recessions. To me, recessions offer huge opportunity, and I don't have to shy away from it. I can choose I just choose not to participate in them. Right.
Well, it's a lot like what you did, in December. You said you weren't going to participate in personal hygiene, and you held true to your word, which,
Now that's fake news. I'll let you bash me on everything but hygiene.
By the way, Ron Marvo shared a great quote from David Spizak, who's got a ton of them. Put your love in the back of the house, and it'll be reciprocated in the front. That's a fact. It's a 360-degree cycle. And the back will feed the front, just the same as the front will feed the back.
That's
for
right.
Sure. Great point for sure. And my right-hand guy is like on fire right now. We see the biggest growth opportunities during recession. More millionaires are made there than anywhere else. That's a fact. Go back to 08, 09 and look at how many breakthrough startups there were in 08, 09 and how many millionaires and billionaires were created as a result of it. Michael Poro, he's talking about the recession. I'm not going to participate. Good for you. Only unless you can participate in profiting from the recession. And
correct.
It's funny, we went in. Ron and I are always brainstorming, just the two of us, and he handles the brain, I handle the storm portion of it. But we went and bought a ton of URLs that centered around the term recession, because it
looks like you just walked through the storm with that hairstyle. I mean, that is
but the hair's on point. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Hey, dip your head down for just a second. I want to compare.
I'm not. I don't do that. I can't. The lighting's bad here, Sandy. I can't do that.
There's something called Couvre. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can actually spray paint in the spots that aren't coming in the right way. You can spray paint some of that in. All kidding aside, Ron and I went and we said, look, it's one of the more highly searched terms on Google, recession. Right. And so we just went and took a look at, what kind of URLs were available. And so ultimately, you focus on the positive, focus on the opportunity. And as Michael says, you always do profit from it. If you look at it from the right perspective, it's funny. The mind is like a camera, as they say. What we focus on is usually what develops.
Rob Ruth is a dealer member, and I had a conversation with him just a few days ago.
Yep.
And he goes, some of our best growth that we've ever had in the history of store happened in 08.
Absolutely. But see, that's because Rob Ruth, to his credit, is not afraid to make wholesale change. He completely re-engineered the processes in his dealership as a result of COVID. Now, he was in the state of Pennsylvania with Governor Tom Wolf. Nobody confusing him for a Mensa member. That's for sure. Tom Wolf. But anyhow, Rob and his team had to completely re-engineer their processes, and they got it so finely tuned and efficient and so productive. He hasn't gone back. He still maintains. He continues to adjust and tinker because he's got, Rob Dell and Damian at his side, where he's got a lot of confidence in the leadership, but they continue to tinker with their process to make it even better. And they know how to grow people. That's the other piece. They know how to grow people effectively in their organization. So he's a beastly good operator.
Yep.
No doubt. Let's talk about mastermind number 4, which is create an industry-leading virtual F&I experience. I'll be keenly interested to see what folks come up with here, because this, I think, is the new frontier, if you will, as it relates to the front end of the store. It'll be more important than ever as we see some margin pressure, higher inventory availability in the marketplace. Yep. Incentives are going to increase, and I think F&I is going to play a gigantic role. And the better you are on the virtual F&I side before they even get into the store, I think you're going to see an increase in your PVR. You're going to see an increase in volume. You're going to see an increase in efficiency. It's all going to benefit the client coming through the door and the experience that they have, but it's also going to benefit your people, because the better they can be and more effective and efficient they can be, the happier they're going to be. It'll increase their income ultimately, long run.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Well, not only that, I mean, just think about it. If this is choppy right now, right? It's not a clean
correct
process. So not only if we fix it, do we make more money, but think how much smoother and easier it is on the client.
Yeah, no question. No question. Last thing that I want to talk about, and then we can freewheel it for a bit, to be honest with you, is we've got a special treat this year. We're doing something that you and I have shied away from. We do not want, quote unquote, the speaker fest going on, because it tends to bore the living shit out of people. It becomes a commercial for one individual or one business. And we weren't looking for that. We were looking for an element that would change it up just a little bit, but provide the kind of content that our community was looking for. And so this year, we're excited to announce that we've got Errol Dobler, who was the CEO at Leader 193. And I encourage everybody to check him out, connect with him on LinkedIn, follow him on Instagram as well. He's got some incredible content. He is a he's a retired Navy SEAL. He's a retired FBI SWAT team member out of New York City. He actually was under the command of my good friend, Mr. Jim DiStefano, who's also retired FBI SWAT team commander out of New York City and the 5 boroughs. And those guys have incredible experience with respect to leadership, command, and culture. And we're going to get a chance to hear Errol speak and do a Q&A to open up the program. I'm excited as hell about that. You've got a chance to meet and talk to Errol as well, at least virtually at this point. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's very. I mean, you're impressed the moment he starts talking. Yeah. His resume backs everything up. But what I thought was great as well is not only is he going to be talking about leadership, but also a lot about process and accountability. Yep. And so, leadership and culture is one of the things that continuously comes up from the dealer members.
Sure.
That we want to talk about, but we don't want to keep just doing panel discussions on it in the same thing. So we want to approach this topic with different ideas, different ways to learn, different ways, different perspectives, I guess. And I think what he does, I think people are going to be extremely impressed when they hear him. So we're excited.
Listen, he walks it like he talks it. I mean, he's definitely a disciple of the Wim Hof method with respect to cold, breathing, etc.
I watch him get in that tub every day.
It's incredible, right? Listen, because of 75 hard, I've been doing exclusively cold showers for the last
I do too.
Months.
Now I will say, if I shower, Sandy, I know that you only shower once every day or so, whether you need it or not. But when I do 2 or 3 a day, okay, because after workout in the morning after workout,
2 or 3 cold showers every day.
Well, that's where I was going. I will only do the cold shower once.
I don't think you could risk the shrinkage from 2 to 3 cold showers a day. To be honest with you, yes, I'm just saying. Rumor has it.
Well, it is nice to get out in the morning and feel average.
Why don't we just take a turn down the wrong street? Holy cow! Lord Almighty!
There's nothing wrong with understanding how the commoners feel.
Well, we would bring it back to reality here.
Listen, I want to be very clear. I'm only half kidding.
Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Nobody's interested. Anyhow, I'm excited to have Errol. He is the real deal. I know Jim DiStefano, who works with Errol over at Leader 193 very, very well. Two of the most impressive people you'll ever meet in your life. They're going to bring leadership and culture experience from not just the military and law enforcement side, but Errol works with some of the biggest companies in the world, and so we're going to get a bird's eye view of what Errol experiences with his clients as well. I think it's going to be a unique, one-of-a-kind opportunity, and the intimacy of the Business Bourbon and Cigars events is going to allow and afford the opportunity to have those real, like, solid one-on-one questions being answered live and in person in real time right there. And Errol's going to spend time with us, on each of the excursions and the events. Let's talk a little bit about excursions.
He's gonna participate in the masterminds, and to me, I'm actually looking forward to walking around the tables and watching that in action, because I think he's going to bring a perspective, that isn't always discussed in terms of, like, all right, here's our strategy, here's our process, here's how we're going to do it. He's going to bring all right, how are we going to hold people accountable to do it? How are we going to?
That is his currency, by the way.
Correct.
His currency is accountability, and he's not going to be restricted by past precedent or sacred cows of the automobile business. He's going to come in and say, hey, that shit doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? But let's talk for a second about excursions, because I think folks certainly want to talk about that. And then when we wrap, I just want to wrap with some of the things we're going to do with the live auction for Giving Hope. All right, because I think that's going to be pretty cool as well. We've got the initial event is going to be the cocktail reception on Tuesday night, which is going to be great. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, so all the sponsor partners are teaming up. So we got 12 sponsor partners. So we'll have 6 teams, and one person from each sponsor will come in, and they'll form teams of 2. So 6 stations, and we're having a guacamole. I know this is bourbon, but we're going to have since we're in Texas, we're going to have a guacamole and margarita making contest. And we'll have a prize to the winner. And what's going to be funny is listening to you MC it. All right. That will be a fun experience during that cocktail hour.
Yes.
So I think that'll be fun.
The gloves will be off, I promise you. And again, I will say this to you: the perfect margarita for me is a nice tumbler, rocks, tequila, and a piece of lime. That's it.
Salt? No salt.
No, I need salt. I don't need the lime juice. As with the tequila, the lime, the ice, we're good. We
don't need you drinking any type of alcohol with salt. We don't need you blowing up like a tick out there.
Oh my Lord. Oh God. I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. Who doesn't like margaritas and guacamole, and we get a chance to have some fun doing it. Let's talk about Wednesday's event. The excursion, I think, is off the charts. You and I had a chance to tour the facility. It is unlike anything else that we've ever done to date. So much incredible history, but such a fun and incredible space that we've got. Talk a little bit about Sister Dale Dance Hall.
It's perfect for us because, first off, just the atmosphere, and there's a feeling you get when you're in it that really fits Business Bourbon and Cigars. So it's a perfect spot to do the cigar rolling. It's a perfect spot to bring in Bobby Burke and do our rare bourbon tasting. I know we've already secured 2 bottles of Elijah Craig 18, which is phenomenal.
It's a great bottle.
We'll have two other types of bourbons there for the rare stuff. Of course, we'll have an open bar as well. It isn't all bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Lori Halter.
Lori Halter. We've neglected to mention Lori Halter, who is such an incredible person for us to partner with, and she wants a little bit of Chardonnay to be flowing. Yes. And I know Mary feels the same way. So
we will have white and red wine there. We'll have vodka. And
Scott, talk about the vodka, because I understand that you're going to use your own family recipe from.
Well, I do that for Scotch, so it works better with Scotch. But you can do it for vodka, but I do it more for Scotch. So, and Sister Dale is perfect for this because you remember that clearing,
that huge area out back that you can source from.
What I can take if I need to do, you can take a house bourbon, and if you can walk out to the back in that area where you remember where that sun kind of hit the ground.
Yeah. Yep.
Right around 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Right. It's got to come in at the right angle. And what you do is if you got your bourbon, what I do is I reach down, I grab a little bit of that soil where that sun's hitting it.
Right.
And I can sprinkle it in
Right.
my bourbon. And I can get, depending on how much I put in, either the scotch or the vodka.
Right. Perfect. I mean, the recipe is perfect. So we'll have something for everyone, as they say. We're going to have the amazing Bobby Burke with us, who, the element of expertise and also his sense of humor. I mean, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met, along with being a great human being. I can't wait to see him. He just another gift in my life, courtesy of SJ 24/7. But he is a gift to the entire event because he really breaks down the bourbon and discusses the bourbon in a way that regular mortals cannot even fathom. And so he's got some great detail that he shares with us and does it in a way that makes you laugh along the way. We're going to have a cigar roller there once again, as always. And then we've got a private concert featuring the Brett Mullins Band, which I am pumped about. We've seen his sizzle reel. I mean, he's the real deal. He's how do we end up getting him, by the way?
This is feeling well. My wife Trish, she does a lot of the logistical.
Thank God for Trish.
I know. That was a good decision by me way back in the day.
There's Trish.
She's on.
She's not only is she the boss, she's also the genius of the Joseph household, for the record.
Well, that's not a high bar, so I don't know if
Speak for yourself, Sophia.
I am speaking for myself. I am speaking for myself.
I can hear right now. Maybe I'm gonna make Trish laugh. I can hear right now. God damn it, Willow.
My daughters. Oh yeah. Well, no, Willow's in the kennel because we couldn't trust. Not in the kennel here in the house. We couldn't trust her during this live thing. If the mailman came up or if some bag flew by the window or something like that, not to go nuts and interfere with the broadcast.
Yep.
So the Brett Mullins Band. No, Trish found him.
Trish just commented. She had to hop on after the cold shower combo went sideways. Thank God for her, man. Honest to God. Good Lord. I don't know how she does it, Scott. I got to be honest with you. 24/7 with you is, God bless her. She earns it.
It's a little slice of heaven for her here on earth.
I was watching Sophia roll her eyes, by the way, last night. I know where she picks that up from. That's at the DNA level, genetic, I would think. Yeah. No, but she deserves the credit because she put all this stuff together. She found Sister Dale Dance Hall. Let's say that 5 times fast. She found the talent. I'm excited that, we got to clarify something. This is an old dance hall that dates back to the 1800s. There's an old dance hall stage. They got the old piano on the side there. And Brett Mullins Band is going to be there just crushing it live for a private concert for us. It's going to be
and we'll have barbecue that night. We're going to have our Texas barbecue that night. And then Trisha's got some other things planned that'll be surprises that'll happen along with the rare bourbon and the cigar rolling.
Yep.
So that'll be a very fun day after a very hard day of work.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. No doubt. It'll be a welcome respite, as they say. The pool area, the cabana area is going to be awesome. We've got a couple of private cabanas, for post mastermind where you can actually have, the opportunity to have conversation. If people do want to talk business, they can do it there for sure. And then Thursday we come back, mastermind sessions 3 and 4, and then we're going to do the giving hope end of it. And that is, we've got a live auction. We've got a silent auction. Talk a little bit about the live auction and how people can participate in the silent auction as well, even if they're not going to be at the event.
So the live auction is going to happen on that last hour of our mastermind session.
And we will be broadcasting that live, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
We're going to try to, yes.
Yep. Okay, good.
So we'll have that going on. We've got some great things being offered. And of course, in the silent auction, which will be launched here probably in the next 7 to 10 days. So we want to do that about 4 weeks in advance. But I mean, literally, we're going to have we can't say the name, but we are
Nope,
going to have a
we
very
gotta be
good,
careful, be respectful.
very good quality bourbon, a barrel that is going to be raffled off. These barrels are they can be worth anywhere from, $15, $20, $30,000, because you're going to get anywhere from 140 to 220 bottles out of this thing, which can be used as corporate gifts. They can be sold. You can do whatever you want with them. But it's also a fun experience to do this and have your own barrel. But that'll be raffled off. We've got a 10-year-old Rip Van Winkle signed by Julian Van Winkle that is going to be auctioned off. And even better, along with that, is an experience where clients are going to be an online tasting for an hour with Preston Van Winkle.
Oh my God, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Killer. If you're a bourbon fan, a real bourbon fan, doesn't get any better than that.
We've got some very unique stuff. Shell Oil's coming to the table. They're creating a VIP race experience, meet and greets in the suite type thing. They're donating potentially a hood of one of the cars in the race. So you can hang it in your office, whatever is art. We've got a puppy, a British Bulldog puppy that has been donated that will be delivered or ready to take home in the month of April. At that 8-week mark. We've got all kinds of very unique, of course, Troy's going to be donating his penthouse in Park City. I mean, there's just all kinds of great opportunities, some neat experiences to bid on.
It's going to be incredible. And
all of this goes
great, incredible cause.
That's what's the
by the way, 100%.
About this.
Like, let's be clear, because I want people to be aware of that. Is like, this is not for Business Bourbon and Cigars. This is done 100% for the benefit of the orphanage, and Troy, no better person to partner with on this.
You look at
I don't
videos,
know. Are we allowed to say his name?
Manny? Yeah, absolutely. Manny Pacquiao. Yep.
Yeah. So we got Manny Pacquiao involved. And another example of, when you hang around with big thinkers, bigger things happen. And it's just been incredible. By the way, that whole aspect of Business Bourbon and Cigars has taken on a life of its own. It's incredible to see how quickly we could put it together and how big an event or part of the event it's going to be and become as we move forward.
You and I put the first one of these together in 13 days.
Correct. We
said we're going to do it, and 13 days later we had a live event.
That's right.
Now, granted, we only had 13 people.
October of 2020. So let's be clear, like we were still in the height of COVID lockdowns, and I can remember like getting barked at by the flight attendant to put my mask on. Which I was partially complying with. You know me, I'm not a big rule follower, as they say. But thank God we didn't follow the rules. If we had followed the rules and hunkered down and pulled our arms and legs into the turtle shell, this never would have happened. So
no one confuses anyone with your hairstyle as a rule follower. People with your hairstyle don't follow.
It's on point today. I mean, I gotta tell you, Carmen. My barber's from the old world. He's an Italian off the boat, an Italian barber in New Jersey. Go figure. Love him to pieces, but he sharpened me up here this week.
Having Steve Russler join us from Drive Centric has really elevated your.
I cannot compete.
He's elevated your hair game.
But he married his hairstylist, for God's sakes. I'm not marrying Carmen. I'm going to stick with Mary. Right? Yeah.
As you should.
No question. No question. Well, buddy, look, we're coming up on a little over an hour. I know you got a hard stop. I'm excited. It's my man, great cash, gentlemen. I love you like a fat boy loves cheesecake. As you can tell, I love a little cheesecake, as does SJ. But I'm excited, buddy. I thank you, as always, for your friendship and partnership and all the good things that we get to do together. Like, we get to do it. I'm grateful for it. I don't lose sight of the fact that it's a blessing to be able to be part of this. I said, I keep Michael Poor up there. I said at the beginning, in the last 2 or 3 years, some of my closest friends have come from this group. Michael and you are two of the original ones to that. Yeah. I mean, you could basically say you and I started forming that friendship, and then Michael rolled right in, and absolutely, and it kind of grew from there. So I mean, I am extremely appreciative of, everything as well. Brad Mug, and we could go Arnold Casita. You can go like right on down the line. It's just incredible.
Oh yeah.
The people that we've had a chance to get to know and speak to every week. We're having conversations with these folks. So
that's right.
Anyhow, listen, safe travels to Podfest with Miss Sophia.
Yep.
Try and stay out of her way. All right. Don't photobomb her experience, for God's sakes. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in March, my man.
And everybody have safe travels out to NADA this week. Wish I could be there with you, but make sure you look up my man right here, Sandy Cerami. He'll be out there.
We're going to be hanging at the Traction booth with Dave Boyle and Dan Beres and their crew. We're going to be talking about technician recruiting. So if you're a dealer or a GM or an FOD, we're going to be doing some work around recruiting technicians, which I think is critical. It's 2023 is the year of fixed operations, and really specifically the year of technician recruiting. So make sure you stop by the booth and we'll share some great stuff with you over there. But I'm looking forward to catching up with anybody and everybody that's at NADA 2023 in Dallas. So in the meantime, my buddy, we got to step up to stand out, and we are out. Let's show them a little video as we close out.
All right.
First impression of La Cantera.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Perfect blend of like the Southwest architecture and motif, but all of the amenities of a luxury resort.
So we've got golf. We're contemplating having
an event,
some type of pool event / party.
So that's going to be a great opportunity for sponsor partners and dealer members to get together and talk business.
Yep.
What better setting than right here?